everyone, how y'all doing? Welcome and welcome back to my channel. And welcome to day 30 of Vlogmas. Oh my god, we only have one more day of Vlogmas. That is insane. But today we're talking about my most disappointing reads of 2020. So all of the books that I read, was disappointed by, didn't like. It's very sad. But before we get into the video, make sure to subscribe down below if you have not yet already, because you're not going to want to miss tomorrow's Vlogmas video, which is my favorite books of the year. And if you're not caught up on Vlogmas videos, there is a playlist down below that you guys can go check out. I worked really hard this month and I really enjoyed uploading it daily for you guys, so I hope you've been enjoying it. But let's just get right on into talking about my most disappointing reads of 2020, because there were quite a few. So this is in no particular order, but the first book I'm going to talk about today is The Toll by Neil Shusterman. I was really hoping this book would not be on this list this year, but alas, here we are. So I did a reading vlog earlier this year where I tried to read the Scythe series in 3 days. I will link that video up above in the cards and down below in the description for you guys if you have not yet seen it. But I did not like this book. There were a lot of mixed reviews going around for it, and so I was already kind of hesitant because of that. But then I reread the first 2 books and I still liked them, but in rereading them, the novelty had kind of worn off a little bit and I found myself not enjoying them as much as the first time I read them. I think there's something about this series where it's all about like your first experience reading it, and it's very special to its first reading experience where you don't know anything about the story or the world or the plot twist. I hadn't forgotten enough for it to be like shocking anymore, so I just kind of was along for the ride and it was fine. I still enjoyed the first 2 books. I think Scythe is my favorite in the series. But then I got to this one and guys, the novelty had really worn off at that point, and I honestly don't know if it's just because the novelty had actually worn off and this book just wasn't good, or if it's because I read them back to back in 3 days, like 3 books in 3 days. I read this book in basically a day. So it's just like, was that my fault? I don't think so, but I think it could have played a small part in it. But this book was just, it was not good. It was boring. I did not care about it whatsoever. There were new characters or new POVs that we got that I just really did not care for. And I don't know, reading this book kind of felt like pulling teeth. I wanted to pull my hair out. Like, I was just so over it. I think there were some moments that I did like. I did tab some things, but overall it was just so disappointing, especially since when I first read Scythe and Thunderhead, I loved them so much. Like, you could not get me to stop talking about those books. I thought they were genius, and then I got to this one and I wasn't impressed. It was just really boring, and everyone else who was disappointed by this book and said this book didn't stack up were correct. I really did not like this one, and it's really sad because now I feel like I've tainted the entire series and I can't think about it in the same way anymore, but it is what it is. This book just didn't hit right for me. It just wasn't good. The next book I'm going to talk about today is A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro. This was a book that I wasn't like bursting out of the seams for, like I wasn't like that excited for it, but it was something that I've seen talked about a lot on booktube, and then I read it and I just I wasn't as interested. It's a mystery book. It's basically like a gender bent Sherlock Holmes type of story, and it seemed like it was gonna be really fun. I am trying to get more into the mystery genre, but this just felt like it was the wrong move. I should not have started with this book. The mystery just didn't feel very compelling or mysterious. Like, I didn't guess what the mystery was, but I also wasn't that surprised by it either, and I don't know, like, I feel like this book was very lackluster. The mystery wasn't very interesting. The characters were probably the best part of the book, and they were still just kind of like okay for me. There was just nothing about this book that really wowed me or interested me. It's a very meh read, very lackluster. I just was not very interested. It was a fairly quick read if I'm remembering correctly, but it just really wasn't that captivating, which was very disappointing. So I'm very sad that I didn't end up liking this one, because I did want to love this series and read the entire thing, but it just wasn't in the cards. It wasn't very good, which is quite unfortunate, but it is what it is, and it's fine. Not every book can be a winner. You know what I mean? Not every book can be a winner. So the next book on my list is one that I definitely didn't think would make it onto this kind of list, but we have Imagine Me by Tahereh Mafi. I do own this book, I just don't feel like grabbing it, but Imagine Me by Tahereh Mafi. This is the 6th and final book in the Shatter Me series, and this is one of my favorite series of all time. So for me to put one of the books from that series on my most disappointing reads 2020 list, it kind of hurts a little bit, especially since Define Me was one of my favorite books of last year. It hurts. It honestly hurts. So the reasoning for this book being on this list is it wasn't good. Like, I enjoyed it. I have a whole reading vlog for this book if you guys else want to see it. Like, I still really loved this book. But to me personally, this book just felt like a different draft of Define Me almost. Like, a lot of the plot points felt kind of similar to me. Another book where the characters got separated, you know, like one of them got captured, they had to go save them. And I'm just like, this feels like a repeat of the last book. Like, I wanted something a little bit different, and it just felt very repetitive, you know? I kind of wish that Tahara Mafi had either smushed Define Me and Imagine Me together to make one book, or just, I don't really know. Or just make this one smaller. I don't know. There was just something about this book that I don't know, it felt repetitive. I wasn't as captivated or interested. I did like the ending of it, but I was also kind of wanting more from it. Like, I wanted kind of more of a redemption for Adam. I just kind of feel like there were things that were just kind of like left off and not talked about and not resolved. Like, I feel like there are some like loose ends that were never tied up. And honestly, while I was a fan of Restore Me and Define Me, I just feel like in general, maybe this series shouldn't have continued and shouldn't have gone on as long as it did. I really love the original trilogy, and upon rereading it when Restore Me was coming out, I was like, this is not a satisfying ending anymore. Like, I do agree that there should be more books. But now I'm kind of wishing there was just one more book, or there's only 2 more books. Like, I just feel like 3 more books was just a little bit too much for the series, and it just went on too long, which is heartbreaking for me to say. But there were aspects of this book that I did enjoy. I mean, I read it a long time ago, so I don't remember them specifically, but I just remember feeling a little bit let down by this book, unfortunately. So it hurts my soul to put it on this list, but it is what it is, and I'm saying that for every book, but it hurts a little bit, you know, because this is a favorite series of mine, and I really wanted to just absolutely be head over heels in love with this book, and I just really wasn't. So it sucks. And then the next book, oh my god, I can't believe I read this book this year. This year has felt like an eternity, but we have The Reckoning of Noah Shaw by Michelle Hodkin. I literally thought I read this book last year. I love that for me. Let's start off here. I love the Mara Dyer series. It's one of my favorites. Like, I really, really love it. So I was really excited when they announced a Noah Shaw trilogy. I read The Becoming of Noah Shaw, I believe in 2018, and I did not like it. I thought it was pretty damn bad. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hold out hope. I'm gonna hold out hope for The Reckoning of Noah Shaw. Maybe things will get better. Maybe, you know, it'll be okay. But it wasn't. It was 10 times worse, and I didn't know that was possible. It was so bad. I really don't see the point of the series. It's weird. It's not good. It's boring. I was literally bored out of my mind. Literally bored out of my mind. I felt like pulling my teeth out. It was so bad. To begin with, in the first book in this series, the characters didn't feel right. They did not feel the same. Like, they just, like, I went from reading the Mara Dyer series to immediately starting The Becoming of Noah Shaw, and it just didn't feel the same. So then reading The Reckoning of Noah Shaw, having that hope that it would be better, and it just wasn't. And the thing is I was really in the mood for, like, Noah Shaw and Mara Dyer. Like, I was in that kind of mood, which is why I picked it up. And then I read it, and it did not satisfy that mood whatsoever. It turned me right off. Mara wasn't even in the book until literally like the last page, which was really misleading since she's on the cover of the book. And just like in general, the plot of the book was weird, it was boring, and like half the time I didn't understand what was happening, and that's like a common theme that people were feeling. Like, go look at the Goodreads reviews for this book. They are not good. So I was heavily let down by this book. I have since unhauled the books because I just don't like looking at them. They make me mad. So I'm now back to thinking of Mara Dyer as just its own thing. Noah Shaw series does not exist in my mind. I'm not continuing on with the series. I don't even know when the next book's coming out. All I know is that the cover is pretty, and so I'm really mad, but it's fine. Oh my goodness. And then we have Just One Day by Gail Forman. This book, I think it's my second least favorite book of the year, just because I was so angered by this book. I felt so misled. The whole description is about our main character having this one like beautiful like whirlwind romance day in Paris. This one day in Paris, it's called Just One Day, and you go into it expecting for that one day in Paris whirlwind romance, and that is not what this book is. And I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand why they didn't like put this in the description, and why it wasn't more marketed to be what it actually is. But the one day in Paris, literally, I don't even think lasts a third of the book. It is literally like the smallest portion of the story, and then the rest of the book is just her at school moping about the one day and how the one day ended and like missing the dude. And I'm just, it's not the book that I wanted. It was more of a melancholy story. I wanted a whirlwind, cute, swoony, one-day romance in Paris, and that's not what I got. Instead, I got our main character moping around the entire time, and it was really bad. It was really not what I signed up for, not what I had been looking forward to, not what I was in the mood for, and I felt really misled and let down by this book, and I'm still angry about it months later. And it's a duology as well, and the second book is literally just that book in the dude's point of view, and that one makes more sense because the title of it is Just One Year, which is much less misleading than Just One Day, because it didn't take place in just one day, and I'm so mad. And I was just finishing it just to see if it would get better, and then it didn't, and I was just, ugh. I'm so frustrated by this book. It was such a letdown. Such a letdown. If you are looking for a whirlwind, one day in Paris kind of romance, do not pick up this book. It is not what you're looking for. I am being so mean, but I can't. It was so bad. They said one thing and they delivered me something else, and I was not happy about it. And then this next book was literally my first read of the year. I again have a whole reading vlog about it, so I don't remember a whole lot about it since it was almost a year ago that I read it. But we have Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera. So I had an arc for this book that I won in an Instagram giveaway, and I felt so lucky, so grateful to have won this arc for multiple reasons. One, I do love Adam Silvera. I love his contemporary books, so I was excited for this book, but I also was a bit hesitant because it's his first fantasy book, and it always makes me nervous when an author who has published so many books in one genre all of a sudden changes genres and starts writing something else. It always makes me nervous, so I was hesitant to buy the book. So having the arc meant that I didn't have to buy the book right away, and I could see if I liked it or not. But I was really hopeful. I did really want to like it. So I have a whole reading vlog. I'll link it up in the cards. But this book, it was so bad in my opinion. It was so boring. I did not care about the characters. I really did not like Brighton. He was one of the POVs. We had multiple POVs in this book. The only character I didn't mind was Emile, who was like our other like main character, and he was the brother of Brighton. But Brighton was such an annoying character. And like, yes, I don't mind an unlikable character from now and then, but I didn't go into this book expecting to be reading from an unlikable main character, and typically, unless it's kind of like the whole point of the book, I don't like reading from the point of view of an unlikable main character. Like, I have to go into that book expecting and wanting that, and that's not what I was wanting. He was just so annoying. He was so jealous of his brother, and he wasn't even that happy for the things that his brother had. He just wanted them for himself, and he was so ungrateful for what he had as well. He was a YouTuber, and he had like quite a large following, but he was so ungrateful for it. He just wanted more and more and more, and like, I get that. Like, I'm a YouTuber as well, obviously, and you know, it's always nice to want, like, to have more followers, to want more followers. I get that. But he had a lot of followers, and he was just like complaining about everything, and he was just so infuriating. And I also just didn't care about any of the other characters. I found them all boring. I found the story to be confusing, the magic system to be odd. There was just nothing about this book that I enjoyed. I would say go watch the vlog if you want to see more concrete thoughts as I was reading the book, because it's been a year since I've read the book almost. I do not remember anything, but it was not a good time. It was so disappointing, which is really unfortunate because I really wanted to like it because it has a pretty cover, and I do love Adam Silvera. But I have come to the conclusion that Adam Silvera's fantasy books are just not for me, or specifically this series is just not for me, and I will stick with his contemporary books because those mesh with me a whole lot better. And the last book I'm going to talk about today is The Glittering Quartz by Rochelle Mead. So I was really excited for this book, sort of. I mean, I love Vampire Academy and Bloodlines by Rochelle Mead. I have them all literally right here. So I was looking forward to this book just because I wanted more from Rochelle Mead, but I have heard bad to mixed things about a lot of her other books outside of the Vampire Academy world, but the Glittering Quartz is one of the ones that I had heard more good things about than anything else that she had come out with, so I was a bit more optimistic going into this one. I listened to the audiobook of it. The narrator was fine. She wasn't the best, but the book was just boring. I didn't really like the characters, and it just, I don't know, it wasn't compelling. I feel like the book went on for too long, and I just really wasn't interested. I think I was enjoying it at some parts, but just not enough to make up for the parts of the book that I didn't like, and I don't think I even have like specific critiques books in general. Like, I didn't love it. I'm sure, like, there are people who love this book, and I can see how people could like it. I just think it definitely was not for me. I unhauled the book. I won't be continuing on with the series. It's not my cup of tea, and I think I'll probably stick to Rochelle Mead's Vampire Academy books instead of trying to venture out into her other books. I'll just stick with Vampire Academy and be happy with that. But unfortunately, I did not like this book really at all, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So those are all of my most disappointing reads of 2020. It always sucks when you go into a book thinking you're gonna love it and then you don't. It's really sad, but it is what it is. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a huge thumbs up. Comment down below some of your most disappointing reads of the year because I'd really like to know. Also comment down below a thumbs down emoji if you stayed till the very end. Subscribe if you have not yet already, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.